Hey everybody, and welcome to the Pulpwood Queen channel. This is Tracy Carnes reminding everybody that if you haven't, please subscribe, and that way you won't miss a minute of all the fun and the videos and all of the goings on of the Pulpwood Queen herself. And now let me introduce you to her. It's the Pulpwood Queen, Kathy L. Murphy. Yay!
Yay! Jingle bells, everybody. I've got my little Santa cat because Mama Cat's here tonight to talk about some really great Christmas books for children, for your own children's children, any kids out there. I collect books all year long to give to my grandson. And I try to make things extra special because I use puppets. And this is a little Christmas ornament I'm going to give him of a Santa cat. But I provide snacks too. So I got some Elf on the Shelf cookies, and I got him a really cute little Christmas drink holder so he can put his juice in it or milk or whatever with his cookies. And we just make it into a real fun time as he crawls up onto my lap and we read books. So I have a whole stack over here I want to go through. And I want to begin with one that just came into my view that I quickly ordered and got for Christmas as I go to North Dallas. And I had to share it because it's called Home in the Woods, which guess where my little cabin in the woods is, in the woods. And
It's in the sticks.
Yes, it's Eliza Wheeler is the author of this book, and I'm going to actually read this one because it's such a wonderful story. Even the end papers inside show a wonderful aerial view of the woods and all the trees and everything. And I love being out in nature, even in the wintertime. This is a Nancy Paulson book, and it introduces you at first with the family, and all the family's characters are shown here, and I'm going to tell you who they are, and I'll show you each page. But this is my family. This is an actual story based on her true family. There's Roy, who's 14, Rick, who's 10, Mary, who's 8, Doll, who's 2, Eva, who's 3 months old, B, who's 12, Lowell, who's 4, and this is me. This is Marvel, 4, and there's Mom, and she's only 34 years old, you all. Look at this great picture. I saw this, it was either Publishers Weekly or Shelf Awareness had done a big feature on it, and I thought, oh, this sounds just like my book. It says, Dad lives with the angels now, and we need to find a new home. And it shows the picture of their home in this locket with a picture of Dad. And then it shows them moving. And I don't know about you, but I moved a lot when I was a kid. We had lots of rental houses. I can remember I moved 1, 2, 3, 4 times until we didn't buy our home. My parents didn't buy their home until they had saved up enough money. And that's when I was in I believe the 7th or 8th grade in junior high. We moved across town. All right, it begins with summer. Deep in these woods, we find a shack. It's all wrapped in tar paper. It's hot outside, but the shack looks cold and empty, like I feel inside. You never know what treasures you'll find, says Mom. And here's the little shack. And it's covered with tar paper. It's a black type of paper that kept out the weather and the wind. My grandparents lived in a tar paper shack on an oil lease out in the country. So I'm very familiar with that. I spent most of my childhood out there. In the shack, we don't see any treasures. We see a rusty oven. We see a dusty shelf. We see empty crates, a wooden table, box springs, and a pot-bellied stove. I don't know if kids will know what a lot of this stuff is today, but I'm very familiar because my grandparents had a freestanding stove heater in their house, in both my grandparents' houses. But Lowell and Eva find a door in the floor. Below is a root cellar filled with old glass jars, a tin pail, a pile of rags, and a pitcher pump that goes up and down, up and down. And out comes a stream of cool, clear water. Well, I imagine they didn't have to dig as far for the well if you put it in the root cellar of a house. Isn't that cool? My Aunt Edith and her husband, they had a pump outside their door and they didn't have any running water or electricity until I became an adult. This place will do fine, says Big Brother Ray, but it doesn't seem like much of a home to me. And here they are getting everything settled in with all their things they carried from home. Oh, I'm just trying to get it to come across. There, can you see? Yeah. Outside, the ground is a blanket of rotting leaves. Doll and Bee dig underneath to find soft, dark, rich soil. The seeds from our old garden can go here, says Bee. When the crystal rain falls, our seeds slowly take root. Some treasures take a little time. The songs of happy frogs echo through the trees. Well, if you live in the woods, you get all kinds of nighttime songs, but the illustrations in this book are absolutely gorgeous. They're so lush and green, and it's got all these frogs sitting on lily pads. The woods are a tangle of birch, poplar, pine, and sugar maple. We all know those sugar maples have the prettiest fall leaves. Marv finds the secret paths of white-tailed deer woven all around. Here the kids are all exploring the woods. There's no better playground to me than going to the woods or the creek. The paths lead us to a twisting trout creek, an empty beaver lodge, and a blooming berry patch with sweet jewels of blue and red. We fill our pail, Marv's hat, Ray's bag, Loyal fills his empty belly. Our laughter echoes through the trees. How many of you got to do berry picking when you were kids? We always had to be real careful to watch out for the snakes. I never saw one, but I was always real careful. We had to wear our boots when we went berry picking, just in case. All right, autumn. Cool winds come and spice up the air and fill it with rust and ruby leaves. Mom walks into town to do chores for pay, so we take care of chores at the shack. Rich writes them on paper slips that we draw from a hat. One is split wood, hang clothes, wash up, pull weeds, pick veggies, and sweep some. Now that's a great way to divide up chores. So there's no preferential treatment for kids to do their chores. They get a different one every time. We fill the glass jars with Mom's berry preserves and harvest from our garden. We save them for winter and stack them in the cellar like buried treasure. Every house I used to live in Kansas, we had basements with jars of jellies and preserves. My grandmother kept me well stocked with everything from Piccadilly to corn salsa to all kinds of sweet and dill pickles. When we need more supplies, we head to Bennett's General Store. The windows are full of marvelous things. There's catalog dresses, pearly sweets, shiny tools, and wind-up toys. But Mom's chore money can only buy some of the basics. We say nothing at all on the long way home. It was a lot different when I was a kid. Things weren't given so generously. My mother used to tell me that her biggest gift for Christmas was an apple and an orange. Can you imagine? Back at the shack, we invent a new game, General Store. We can buy anything we want. Rich is the banker. Marv pumps gas. Ben sells fine hats. Lowell is the jeweler. And I display mud sweets. Oh, that reminds me, I have a wonderful book on how to make mud pies. It's my favorite thing in the world to do with my kids, and my grandson is making all kinds of treats with mud. Winter, the days are dark and the bitter winds blow. Ray and Marv trek out to hunt for food. My father was a big hunter. He used to bring in ducks for Thanksgiving. I do not like duck, but I don't like turkey either. I'm not much of a meat person. Ben huddles in the lamp's glow. Mom teaches her. Mom teaches her that scraps put together make colored patchwork. I huddle by the warm stove. Rich teaches me that letters put together make words, and words put together make stories. And we all know in the Pulpwood Queens that it's all about the story. Most days, Ray and Marv return from the hunt with nothing at all, but tonight they are proud and tall. We plunder our stores and Mom works the oven like magic. A feast for the kings and queens of the forest, Rich says. Oh my, and they've made paper crowns. You know, these are the traditions that I think that need to be brought back, don't you? I think we all need to wear paper crowns. I always bring paper crowns, gold crowns to all of my workshops. Snow falls in a blanket of diamonds all around the shack. The jack pines away above as we fall asleep close together, but Mom stays awake into the night, whispering to the stars. Here she is with her 3-month-old baby and all the kids tucked into bed with her. So precious. I can remember how heavy those quilts used to be as they laid over us on those old iron bed spring beds. Spring. After months and warm, fresh air comes pouring into the shack, the cottonwoods are all in bloom. Ma and Bee carry Mama's nut loaf bread and blueberry jam to the neighbor's farm. They fill our pail with milk on our hat with golden eggs. It was the barter and trade system back then. If you had something, you would trade for something that you needed. I like that too. We go slow and careful on the path home. Bee calls out the flower's name: wood violet, dwarf iris, pink lady slipper, pitcher plant. The songs of happy birds echo through the leaves. Oh, I love spring. How boring life would be without seasons, you know? That's why I moved from California. I like the seasons. Here in these woods, I find my brothers, my sisters, our mom and me marvel. The shack, all wrapped in tar paper, looks different now, warm and bright and filled with love, like I feel inside. The home has changed by them living there. That's stuck. In the fall of 1932, during the Great Depression, when my grandma Marvel was 6, her family was evicted from their home in Bennett, a small town in northern Wisconsin. Her father, a munitions factory worker, began moving their belongings into an abandoned tar paper shack deep in the woods, but he died of cancer before being able to spend a single night there. His wife, Clara, the 34-year-old daughter of Norwegian immigrants, was left to take care of her 8 children, ages 3 months to 14 years old. With little aid from the mother's pension and FDR program and some janitorial work, they learned to survive mainly for growing vegetables, picking berries. She canned 40 quarts of blueberries each year, fishing for trout, hunting squirrel, rabbit, and deer. Neighbors also shared in many ways they could during these lean times. My grandma's family lived in the shack for about 5 years. I grew up hearing the stories of that time from my grandma Marvel, how Her mother was able to make delicious food of whatever they had, how they had come up with their own games since they had no toys. My grandma wants you to know that their favorite game, called General Store, in this book was really called The Game. There were stories in below zero temperature winters made especially harsh by the weather coming off Lake Superior. My great uncle Lowell recalled cutting firewood inside the shack on those days in order to continually feed the stove. What an incredible hard time it must have been. And yet they recall the memories from these years in some of the best stories. They all had a purpose and found inventive ways to work together and make it fun. At the time of the writing, 4 of the 8 siblings are still with us: Eva, 87, Lowell, 94, Marvel, 93, and Rick, 97. This book is inspired not only by the stories from the childhood, but from the entire generation that experienced the Great Depression. They will soon be gone, and we haven't yet collected their stories. The time is now. What is your family's story? I want you to share it with the world and with me too. And there's a website. It's www. Excuse me. It's hard to read. Wheelerstudio.com. This is great because it's all about the stories. Hang on just a second. I got tickled. It's all about the stories and the ones that don't get told. And that is what I spent this entire year doing, was reading stories from perspectives that I had not heard before. So every one of my 2020 authors have been notified that they are official book club selections. We will not be announcing the list until we do so at our annual Girlfriend Weekend Conference, which will be in Amelia Island, January 13th through the 15th. And we also will be announcing our 2022 Books of the Year. I've already notified the winners. They are preparing their short speeches, and this will all be a celebration Sunday night. It's the Pulpwood Queen Awards, which is kind of like an Academy Awards for our books and our authors, to celebrate them as readers. So I want to just now mention a few books that I have picked up for my grandson, because we talk a lot about outside and being out in nature. And I found this wonderful book. It's called Can You Hear the Trees Talking? Well, they not only were talking to me this year, they got hit by lightning and started throwing branches on the top of my house during recent high winds and a tornado. Discovering the hidden life of the forest. There is something about living amongst the trees that, even though sometimes it can be a little scary and a little dangerous, the beauty, the nature, the animals, we all take shelter underneath them. And I just cannot wait to share this book with him. A lot of it is a little old for him yet. He's just 3.5, but he has been born a reader, and he follows along pretty good even with these extensive books. The other one I want to mention is I did a story time this past spring with Lisa and Cullen, who does these fairy tales retelling from a North Carolina perspective. And she's got the 3 Wild Pigs. And then the book that I featured was called Little Orange Honey Hood, which was a Carolina takeoff on Little Red Riding Hood. And we had a tea party, and it was so much fun. And Mama Cat will be back doing more story times next year. And I just want to mention Lisa Ann Cullen, because she's a Pulpwood Queen children's book author. And she also illustrates these by painting paper. And this is all done with torn paper and paper art. She is absolutely fantastic artist and storyteller. Another author that I discovered being an artist is Ashley Bryan is a puppet maker, and she makes puppets out of all kinds of fine things. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that doll you got at our Pulpwood Queen Christmas party, Tracy, because this whole book is called Ashley Bryan's Puppets. And her puppets, she grew up in New York City during the Depression years. So they learned how to pick up cast off things from the sidewalk, which is what I do. I go out in the woods, I pick up pine cones and nuts and mushrooms and dry them and berries, and I use them in my things. And all of her creations just inspire me. So what a wonderful thing that you could do with read this. You could read this book, and then you could go out into nature or on the beach, and you could collect things like this, and you could make puppets from these, and then you could write your own stories. And this is a big picture of all the woodland puppets and beach puppets and things that she makes. I love it. Some of the stories she tells are from foreign lands, and it's a wonderful book. But this is JoJo, the storyteller. So you'll have to come up with a name for your little puppet too, that your little doll that you got at the Christmas party. Another author I got to meet when I was at the Evening of the Arts at the Mount Pleasant Library was this wonderful East Texas author who writes books for little ones. And it's called Jared Chapman, Fruits in Suits. And they are the most colorful books. And he actually has a website here. I'm going to share it so if you want to check it out. But he wrote a special picture to my grandson Hawthorne, and I'm going to give him this book. But he's got all kinds of fruits, unusual fruits like pomegranates and cherries, peaches, limes, and he's turned them into little people. And I just thought, what a wonderful way to introduce fruits to children in unique setting and ways. They're very colorful, very bright, and perfect for a 3-year-old. I'm sure that he's going to love this book. Another book I picked up, I go to the Target now has sections in their store where they, like for African American Month, they have wonderful books that are from around the world. And I got this African Proverbs book for all ages for him. I want him to learn about, I'm an international book club person. I want him to learn about people and cultures from all over the world. And this is an Oprah book about the power of Proverbs. And I always think about Aesop's Fables because that was one of my favorite books growing up. Everything from the tortoise and the hare and all the different stories, but Proverbs work that way. And we see storytelling like this in the Bible and almost in all religious cultures and everything. So it's really nice to see. And this has beautiful art in the pictures showing how people are in Africa. And I just think we'll have a wonderful time. I also get out a globe and I point to him the continents and the places that are in the stories that we tell. Because when I was a child, one year for Christmas, I never understood this, but I think I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. I got a globe for Christmas and I couldn't figure it out. I'd spin it and spin it and spin it. And then my mom signed us up for books around the world for children that came with stickers. And we have more fun getting that globe out and finding the countries as we go through the countries and learn what was their crops, what was their national flower. It was fascinating to me, but they have beautiful pictures and animals in this book. And it's called African Proverbs for All Ages. What a great book. And then the last book I picked up for him because so many times boys are only given boys books and girls are only given girls books. And I think we need to read both. I picked this one up, Malala, Activist for Girls Education, because I want my grandson to understand that we're all equal in that we all need to be educated in the same ways. I want him to know it's as much fun to play with a dollhouse it is all of his trucks. And this is the story of Malala. And I think it's a wonderful book. It's a junior library guild selection. It's written by Raphael Freer, and the illustration is Arella Fronti. But beautiful, beautiful, bright vibrant colors. I can't think of anything better than showing books that have lots of colors. And my Santa cat is nodding. Yes, yes, yes. I can't wait to share these with your grandson. So we're really excited about it. And those are just a few. I've got actually a lot more. His mother goes, Mom, you've got to stop bringing us books. But that's, my children had the biggest library. I think we had as many books as the downtown Carnegie Library in Jefferson. But these are books that I use for all my story times when I go out and read at the state fairs, whether the Texas State Fair, the Marion County Fair, or anytime anybody asks me to do a story time, I would have a plethora of books to choose from all nationalities, all over the world, and all age levels. And I want to mention, we have some books coming up on our list that are going to be crossover teen books. And one of the best books we read this year was David Valdez's Spin Me Right Around. He's got a new book coming out. So if you're looking for books for teenagers, email me at thepulpwoodqueen.com. I have I always highly recommend anything by Kimberly Willis Holt, Gary Paulson, Nicole Seitz. There are so many authors I can recommend because when I started out in children's book selling, that was my first job in bookstore, was being a bookstore buyer and a bookstore event coordinator for children. So the heart of everything I do comes from my love of children's books and the illustrations. And now I'm working on my art, and maybe I'll be doing a children's book in the future. I hope so. So I'm going to open it up for discussion. I know a lot of you may have questions about Girlfriend Weekend. I am posting them all this week on our blog. I'm also asking everyone. Laura Whitfield shared her Bollywood outfit that she has going to have for our Bollywood party on Friday night. We're theming all of our evenings. So Friday night is wear something from India. It can be something a cotton, long top and pants. It can be something fancy from Bollywood. Really, just anything. You probably have something in your closet. I actually paint in tops that are kind of like a kaftan from India because they're so colorful you don't notice if you get a lot of paint on them. So there's a lot of things you can wear, and we're going to be introducing launching the new Anju Gatani's new Winds of Fire series. She has spent 20 years writing 5 books set in this series. And the first book is called Dynasties. It will be available at the weekend. And this is the first time I've ever had an author in my 23 years of sharing books that is launching a whole series all at the same time. And I want to acknowledge that her family and her children, 50 of her family and friends showed up for her book club meeting, and where we launched her book online. And they all showed up and said, my mother, my sister, my friend, my auntie, she has been working on this her whole entire adult life. So I feel like that deserves a special recognition. So if any of you out there that are listening tonight, if you write a series and I pick it, I will do the same for you because it's pretty amazing to me. And since the series is set in India, it's about a royal family of a prince-like young man who is in an arranged marriage with a young Indian woman who actually is an artist and who is in love with somebody else. That's how the story begins. They're comparing it to the Downton Abbey series, but set in India. And what is amazing about it, I wish we had the time to do this. Anju Gatani set the home, which has over 40,000 square feet of where this book is set, upon a place in Florida that is called the Queen. A lady was built for this lady, this woman, his wife, called the Queen of Versailles. And I would love to see this home. I wish I had time to go see it. I'll have to do it on another trip. But the first book is called Dynasties, and it will be available at the weekend. and we're very excited. But we're going to introduce all the authors that are coming. First, we'll be introducing our 2022 authors, and then all the authors there. And then on Saturday night at the Great Big Ball of Hairball, it's all white costume because the theme is by the light of the silvery moon. So wear something that's glowing, that's moonlight, that's silvery, and make it your own. And I'm sure it's something you've there. Tracy's got a tiara that she's found that has stars and moons. Isn't that fabulous? But we're going to have fun. It'll be an all white ball with the costume, and we'll be introducing all the authors at the ball. It's a wonderful time. I have a wonderful sound music and something else team that's coming in from Texas. They're caravanning. A team of guys are going to be having lights, sound, and music. We're going to have professional music. The Forsyth company that does this does all the major casinos and all the major big musical artists here in Texas, and they're coming in courtesy of Kathleen Varn, who's one of our authors. She said, if you move it out on the East Coast, I will pay for it. And she did. She has volunteered to pay for them to come all the way from Texas. She's our Charleston queen. And I cannot thank Kat enough. I think we're born almost on the same day. We're both cats. And it's just such generosity amongst the Pulpwood Queens. It's incredible. So all white ball will have plenty of music and everybody dances together. And then Sunday night is our Pulpwood Queen award ceremony, which is our version of the Oscars. So wear something fancy. It doesn't have to be anything that you have to go out and buy. You just have to look in your closets and glam it up. And that's what I always do. I go to Goodwill or Hangers of Hope or Salvation Army, and I always find the most outrageous things to wear. And so if you want to share something that you found, please do so on our Pulpwood Queen Presents Her Picks page this week, and I will approve it. If you have any questions for me, now's the time to ask because I'm traveling during the holidays. And then as soon as New Year's over, I'm going to be packing up to travel to Florida myself. I'm driving out with a caravan, and I'm looking forward to it. I will be coming in on Thursday night. If anybody wants to go to dinner, email me. We'll probably go somewhere simple. Friday morning, we're going to be taking a river boat tour. The hotel is getting me, everybody pays for it separately, and we're going to be doing that. And then that afternoon, I'm going to be giving an Alcohol Inc. workshop. If you would always wanted to learn Alcohol Inc., I have a very small class, but you have to tell me now and pay for it because I have to know how much to bring. Then at 7:00, we will be kicking off officially our girlfriend weekend on Friday night. Now, during the day, we're going to be having panels of New York Times bestselling authors and a lot of new authors that you've never met before, and some that you do know but have new books that were just so extraordinary I had to pick them. But I believe over 50 books are on our list this year. It took me a little longer than I thought to notify all of them that they were being selected, and they are encouraged to all be there. There's some problems with some of the authors due to distance, so we may be arranging some Zooms. But if you cannot be there in person, please get with me and we'll figure out some way. All authors that are picked will be given a week during the year to blog on our Pulpwood Queen Presents Her blogs. And let me tell you folks, you do want to join in on the book club meetings on Tuesday night and the blogs, because I have noticed year after year after year, the authors who participate the most on our online events win the books of the year. Yes, participation is the price of membership, but it's to your benefit for coming. And besides, then you don't have to say, what do we do on the blog? If you come every week, you'll know. Sarah Stomy's up next week, and we're really excited about her. She just had surgery, so she had to go off tonight. But she will be hopefully completely recovered for our Tuesday night book club. Here comes Antonina. She is coming in from San Antonio, and she is one of our Pulpwood Queens. We're thrilled to have Jeffrey and Diane and Janet and Julia and Kathy Ramsberger and Tracy and I here tonight. I'm hoping as we go through December, we pick up even more and more. And mark your calendars for the Sunday before Girlfriend Weekend, because all authors we're going to have a dress rehearsal Zoom meeting to make sure that you can all get online and we don't have any glitches. Now, I'm going to have some help there. I also have a documentary film team coming in, Mark Green and his documentary his son, Adam Green, is going to be back. We've had a documentary done in 2010. We feel like it's probably time to do another one. So you will be filmed live from this event, and you'll be signing a consent form when you come in so you can be a part of it. And we are also a part of another documentary that's out right now, The Bookkeepers. And this is done by Dick Wall. His wife wrote a book called Mr. Oweda's Guide to Gardening, and she passed away from cancer right before the book came out. So Dick and his son, Phil, traveled the country on book tour, and they even came to Girlfriend Weekend in Nacogdoches, and we're the whole last part of the documentary. You can watch it on Netflix. And what is so funny, you have to watch it because a lot of you are there. What is the funniest thing to me was that was the year our theme was Once Upon a Time fairy tale. And there is not one explanation of why we're all running around dressed in fairy tale costumes, and I'm dressed as a deer. Not one explanation, which just made it hilarious to me. But I will tell you, the reason they saved us to the last is because he ran out of books, and the trailer shows him at the back of Mast Hall talking on the phone to his publisher, trying to get 2 more cases of books, because the very first day he arrived at our Girlfriend Weekend, he ran out of all books. So it's got a really happy ending for the Pulpwood Queens, because it's really important for you guys to know that to be present, to be there, to support other authors, and to buy your books there. Sherry Staunch of Main Street Reads is providing the books. She's coming all the way from up by Charleston to provide the books for us. So get your books there from her. She's doing all kinds of promotion with that. And the other wonderful thing about it is you can get your books autographed there. I am bringing all my autographed book plates too, so in case an author isn't there, I can pull from my basket if you buy a book and give you a signed book plate. And if you haven't sent me signed book plates, do so now. I will email you my address, because it's always great to have some extra book plates, because in case you run out, they can order them from Sherry, and then they've got a book plate to put in it. And that's just really important, you guys, is to support the bookseller who shows up for you, and to support the authors who come to our meetings, who come to our book club meetings. They take time off from their writing. This is our thank you to the authors for sharing their stories. And readers, this party was made for you, because no other book club convention that I know of in the world gives you access for an entire weekend to truly some of the best authors in the country. Everybody in New York knows about our Girlfriend Weekend, and it's going around the world. Now, before I open up for everybody to ask questions, I want to share one thing. I just got my end of the year report from Zoom, not from Zoom, but from YouTube, on our Zoom recorded meetings that go up on the website. We are so up this year on people watching our Zoom, but I was surprised. We had, I think, close to 17,000 watches this year of our video. But the number one country that watches our videos the most is not the United States. It's India. India. One show alone, we had nearly 6,000 viewers, all male, for our almost all girl book club. All male watching our book and film club of Shah Rukh Khan. Next up on the list is the United States, but right behind them is the United Kingdom. So we truly are an international pulpwood queen. I know that Anju Gatani is going to her mother. I am crowning the Queen of Jaipur, India, and we are going to be zooming throughout the year because she's going to be teaching me Hindi, and I'm going to be helping her with her English. So finally, I'm going to be able to learn a little bit more about my favorite films, which is Bollywood. And so, subscribe to our channel. It's only going to get bigger and better. And let's give support from where this started, Texas. Come on, sign up. I mean, this started with 6 complete strangers in Texas, and we now literally have thousands and thousands of members around the world. Look at Suzanne Kamada, who shows up from Japan nearly every week. I'm impressed. I pay attention to those who show up for the party. So thank you to everybody who watches our shows, who is, you know, it's really important that you understand we're not trying to sell an ideal. What we're trying to do is open a conversation about how we can have a better understanding of other peoples and cultures, and a lot of it is through our reading, and a lot of it is through our films. Sharing our stories is going to help us be more kind, have more empathy, and also going to let us know that we have more in common than we ever discovered. And the one thing we have in common with all these other countries, we're all storytellers. I can go right back to Home in the Woods and what is your story? We have our writers club that I hope everybody will get it kicked off again with you. Tracy's going to be doing our next one. We got a little postponed because of the tornado and stuff. But we want everybody to be writing their story, because if you don't write your own story, somebody else is, and they're not going to get it right. And besides, it's a library lost to family and friends. So I've talked enough. I'm a big talker. I want to open it up to all of you. If you have any questions about anything, and I'll jump in and tell you a few more contests. We're going to have a tiara contest around our theme, Over the Moon. Create a tiara or crown with the theme Over the Moon, and you could win a free package to Girlfriend Weekend 2024. The winner will receive a full package. So please do that. We're going to have a hairball queen, a timber guy sexy reading contest at the ball. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things, and I'm going to have a trivia contest on my book with special swag prizes. I am shocked to learn that the first book that you're supposed to read is the Pulpwood Queen's Tiara Wearing Book Sharing Guide to Life, which tells my story on why I started this whole darn thing. And I would say probably 85% of you haven't read it. Now, if you have read it, let me know. But there's going to be some questions that I'm going to ask that are going to be taken from the book. And the person who gets the answers right is going to win some swag. So now, when you come to Girlfriend Weekend, you can always go to the website, and t-shirts for our weekend, book bags, you know, our drink cups. We've got Over the Moon swag there that you can order and carry. And then at my alcohol ink class, we're going to make some souvenirs to take home. We're going to make a beach light. We're going to make a beach frame, and we're going to paint a picture with alcohol ink in it. Or you can take it home and put in one of your favorite photos from your trip. You can put this on your tables to mark your tables. And we have a few vendors coming too, I'm very excited about. So now I'm going to open it up. Who wants to be the first to ask me a question or make a comment? Just speak up.
I just want to tell you, Kathy, that I have my reading material. It's my essential reading for the weekend. I have it right here.
Jeffrey, you are my new best friend because since you joined, you have not missed a meeting. I mean, I am so impressed. And I know most of the people here tonight come to all the meetings. So I cannot thank you enough. But we've got to do what Anju Gatani did. Anju invited all her family and friends. And for that meeting, we had over 50 people from around the world join us from Malaysia, Hong Kong, India, Austin, Texas, California, New York, everywhere in the country. And the thing that touched me the most about it was her sons, her husband, her aunties and uncles all talked about her life was devoted to sharing her stories. I want you to bring on board your best friends, your family, your friends, and get them in the conversation because it was so touching. I would give anything to have that kind of support from my family. It is very hard to get people to show up for things. So to have her have over 50 people show up for her launch was truly remarkable and made me, the last chapter of my book, Jeffrey, is called Miss International. My family used to tease me about my big dreams because it was about the same time that International Coffee came out. You remember that instant coffee? And I was a big coffee drinker, so I was really into International Coffee and had this little jingle. And when I'd come in the house with my highfalutin ideas of winning the spelling bee or whatever, my family would all sing that Miss International jingle. And they were really making fun of me, but I got the last laugh, y'all, because I am Miss International. So don't let anybody ever kill your dreams. You need to believe in yourself, and I'm here to champion each and every one of you as a reader and as an author. And now that I've got my health back, I am going to do everything possible I can to get your books out there, to make sure that people in the film industry know that you want a Netflix series, man, you need to read Red Clay Susie by Jeffrey, or you need to read Janet Oakley's wonderful Quisling Factor. There's so many great books amongst the Pulpwood Queens. I read them all as if it was a movie. So why don't we have Pulpwood Queen Productions? I mean, Reese Witherspoon, move over. The Pulpwood Queen is going to be working on that this year. And the first thing we're doing is Tracy Carnes and I and some other authors and filmmakers are going to be at the Sundance Film Festival at Dolly's Bookstore right after Girlfriend Weekend. So I am willing to put myself out there. If I have to schlep books around the country in the FJ or in Tracy's car, we're going to do it. And I want everywhere I go, I want all of you in the area to join us. Joining our organization is what is going to make us powerful. The more people that come on board, the more people will pay attention to us. So subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Jeffrey, for reading the book. If you have any questions, shoot them to me. You'll especially love the parts about my family. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and I love them more than life itself. But I also know that generationally, things break down and it's time for that to change. I'm working really hard on my own family and my grandson, and we all need to share each other's stories to do that. So thank you for showing my book. That means a lot to me. Anybody else have a comment, or do you want to say something else, Jeffrey?
I have a question. You mentioned
Okay.
earlier the book and the importance of oral history, and you're breaking down those barriers among generations in your family. What impact do you think oral histories have in doing that?
Well, in my case, my family divided in half. I had a mother and a sister who hated the book. My father and my other sister and all my cousins, they supported me. It divided our family. That was not my intent. My intent was to bring us all back together. And things are happening now where it's getting much better. But I think if you want, you know, to be spoken of highly in your life, you need to be kind. So, you know, there's that t-shirt that says, be careful, I might put you in my novel. Well, I went to lots of workshops, Jeffrey, on memoirs, and my friend Jan Reed taught one with the Texas Writers Association he's with Texas Monthly. And he said something to me that just stayed with me. He goes, remember that when you write a book, no matter how truthful and factual it is, it has consequences. And I didn't fully understand that. But we'll talk later, and I'll tell you what happened to me when I went to my hometown. It was not pretty. But I will tell you that my best friend there stood up for me and said, I've known Kathy my whole life, and she told her story. And I think everybody needs to tell the truth. The more we hide, I think the biggest problems in this world are lies and secrets. If you're not telling the truth and you're keeping things secrets, relationships disassemble. Be honest with people. You don't have to be mean. I don't think I was mean at all. I sent everybody a copy in my family, and I go, maybe you'll understand why I had so much difficulty growing up. It was books that saved me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I got a new book I'm working on now, but it'll be probably out in 2024. It's The Pulpwood Queen Goes Back to School, both literally and figuratively. And I have lots more stories to tell, as I know all of you. It's never too late. I'm 66 years old. I started writing when I was 41. And it's, you know, it's been hard, but at the same time, the biggest joys of my life has been when I've had the hardest times. So hang in there, keep writing. Any other questions?
I always say the same thing too, Kathy, about history. History hurts, but you have to tell the story. And, you know, what's happening around the country, they don't want people to talk about the truth, and it hurts, you know, things that our country's done in the past. They're also wonderful things, and you have to tell the truth, you know. And
we have to, you know, the history that we were taught in school is, you know, George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. The Indians served our first meal on Thanksgiving, and everybody was happy. Well, you know, it wasn't always that way. You know, we have lots to learn. And the more you read, the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know half of anything.
Right.
So I am on a mission to learn as much as I can while I'm on this planet. And you're an excellent example of person writing histories that's important, of places that we haven't heard of before. I mean, I love every book that you've done, but keep writing them, Jan.
Thank you.
Anybody else? It's awful quiet.
The dog's trying to say something.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a new book coming out from W. Bruce Cameron, who's one of our Pulpwood Queens authors. It's called, his first book was It's a Dog's Purpose, but we've been picking his books and his wife's for years, and they've got a new book coming out, and I think they're on, maybe it was today, but they were going to be featured on Adriana Trigiani's book club, Adriana Inc. So check out Bruce Cameron's new book. It's a perfect one to share with your dog.
I think Timmy fell in a well and needs help.
Oh, there you go.
Or he needs to go outside. I can't decide which.
I think he just wants some attention, Mama.
He does.
That's what happens. They're just like our children.
Little Boo Radley.
Yep, little Boo. All right, anybody else want to speak out? Any big news that you want to share? I know there's lots of great news out there.
Well, I'm excited because, you know, I've made a choice that I'm going to go to Shetland and go to Norway this year. So it's not till June, but I just got everything all set up. I'm going to Shetland Noir, which is Anne Cleves, who writes the Shetland and Vera series. She's headlining. I'm still hoping to get on a panel. I'm on a list to get on a panel, but it's kind of like fulfilling this whole journey of Norway and World War II. So I'm going to be in Shetland for almost a week. I hope to go to a sheep farm and get some yarn because I weave, but I'm also going to be going to Bergen, Norway. And part of the stories in Jussing and in the Quisling factory called Televåg, which was this little village that was raised. And I've been in touch with the curator for 2 years. So I'm taking the bus out to Televåg from Bergen, but it's going to be magical. I mean, it's a long flight. I have to fly to Heathrow and then to Glasgow and then take a little putt-putt out to
You
Shetland.
poor thing. It
I
sounds
know.
marvelous to me. I'm so ready to get out of this cabin, but good for you. Did I tell you I found out I'm 3% Norwegian?
No.
I am. That was a big surprise for me, but
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And one thing I want to share is sometimes the first time you join in on something, you don't get on a panel, but don't give up because I guarantee you, you'll be headlining next and they'll be paying your way there. So for all the authors that did not get selected this year, because I literally got well over 1,000 books, it takes a little while to get everybody in. Keep writing. I know Kathleen Rogers, she was coming to Pulpwood Queens for 4 years before she got picked. But, you know, I can only pick so many books a year. So many people drop off the spectrum when my book didn't get picked. So I'm not going to be back. You know, with anything, the more you invest, the more you gain. And the more you give, the more that is given back to you. So good for you. And we'll want full reports while you're there.
I will
Jane.
do full reports. The other thing too, now I'm curious, where is it going to be in 2024? Because I'll come in 2024.
Well, we're going to be announcing it at Girlfriend Weekend. We're
Oh,
working on
cool.
it.
That's awesome.
It's in the works. So we understand that it's always been in Texas except for this year, but there are Pulpwood Queens all over the place. And if we can find a place that will work with us and that will help us do it in an affordable manner, it costs a lot of money to put on the Pulpwood Queen Girlfriend Weekend. I don't think people understand. And I know Tawana didn't understand until she started helping me. And she's going, holy moly, I had no idea. But I have, you know, I'm back doing it all by myself again. And it's okay. I've got my health back and I'm very excited about it. It's like getting a fresh start. So, but the more of you that I know, my Houston chapter is stepping in to volunteer to help me with registration and all kinds of things. And then I've got my film crew coming in from Orlando, Florida, that those guys always chip in and help me. And then of course, my sound music people, they're excellent. They did our 2020 event in Jefferson. So I've got people there that are going to be supporting me. And Adriana Trogiani, Cassandra King, Jonathan Hote, Carolyn Leavitt, Jana Bloom, all these authors are coming particularly to help me this year because they know it was a tough year. You know, I had surgery. I lost my executive director. It's been difficult. And I just found out one of my dearest author's friends had 2 bouts of COVID and had blood clots. And and Jamie Ford announced online that he had gotten COVID. I mean, it's still out there, you all. So I'm going to be providing masks and sanitizers. And if any of you have any health issues, mask up. I'm going to have it there for you. We're not done with this yet. And the flu's out. So, I've had family members having terrible times with the flu this year. It's really been bad. I know Tracy doesn't feel well today. Sinuses are bad this year. So, I'm trying to stay in and be as healthy as possible so that I can make it from Girlfriend Weekend to Sundance. I'm a little worried.
That's not going to be easy.
I'm a little worried about it, but I'm going to be there with my friends, Laura Bernhardt and her husband, William, who's a New York Times bestselling author, David Patterson, Catherine Patterson's son, who's a filmmaker, is going to be with us. We're going to make it, but it's important to me that I get the word out there on all of you. So I'm going to be going to festivals. I'm hoping people will invite me in and I'll bring in all my authors with me. So any questions? Julia, Kathy, Diane, Antonina, do you have any questions for me now?
Not dear. I don't know if you can hear me. I've had the
Yeah.
hard time getting on. Can you? Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. Now I'm just enjoying listening to you, to your speech. It's very exciting, interesting, and I'm looking forward to this girlfriend weekend we're having in January.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you've got quite a story, and it's going to be a lot of fun to share all of your stories and introduce you to the readers. Most of the biggest book club chapters are coming. Their leaders are coming. There's small chapters, maybe sending one or two, but we're going to have a good crowd this year. But it's not too late to get people on board. We want to fill the house. So if you know of anybody that loves books, loves reading, I can't think of a better present to myself than going to this weekend, because until you've experienced it, you don't know just the connections that you will make. Kathy, you've been there. You know, anything you want to share?
It's like nothing you've ever been to. I have been going to writing conferences since I was a kid, basically. I mean, forever. And it's like going home and over the rainbow all at once.
Boy, that's a good way to put it, over the rainbow. Right now, I'm at level 1 of excited. But by the time I
Yeah,
get
I know you
there,
are.
I'm like at 100. I'm the Energizer Bunny, and there's nothing holding me back. I'm double masking up because I got to hug you guys. I have missed everybody so much. Some of you I haven't even met. I just want to kiss you. But of course, you know, we can't do that. But I do.
I'm relieved that you're talking about masks, because that just like totally took any fear out of me, because I'm going to mask. So
No,
I have
I think
a
if you
high
have,
risk husband, so I'm going to mask. So thank you for
I'm a
that.
Me
high
too. I
risk
really do.
myself because
She's
of the,
doing it.
Tracy and I are both, you know, diabetic, I was diabetic. She's diabetic. You know, people, it's common sense. It's okay to wear a mask. You know, I've got a Pulpwood Queen mask that I'm going to wear that, you know, has my face on it. So, you know, you can order those from my Shop Vita site or make your own, you know, come up with a way to make it personal, you know, and make it you. I have a drawer full of masks because I kind of like being an outlaw. So, you know, it's okay. There is no reason why anybody ever should worry about what to wear or whether they could wear a mask or not, because we break all the rules at Girlfriend Weekend. Anything that you've preconceived is what happens as a book conference doesn't go here. The only thing I tell you is, you know, please be, you know, nothing shows that you wouldn't show to your minister. Okay. Because we have a lot of pastors that come to this thing and, you know, just don't do anything that's inappropriate language or whatever, be kind and everything. But there is no topic that is taboo. And we read everything. I don't censor, but I do want people, no profanity, no nudity. Though we almost had 2 streakers at the 2020, but one was on a walker and one was in a wheelchair, and they didn't think it'd have the same impact as it did back in the 70s. Do you guys know what streakers are? If you don't,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Do you know what a streaker is? Well, it was real popular my senior year of high school and my freshman year at Kansas State University. And there's nothing more shocking than to watch a pack of 40 guys run by my dorm room naked. I was like, what in the world? And 5 of them I went to high school with. So that was a little, and I known these kids before first grade, but I had 2 authors. I won't tell their names. Maybe they'll come forward and say who they were. Oh, well, I'll tell you who they were. It was going to be Tim Conroy, Pat's brother, and Joe Formicella. They were going to streak, but then Joe was on a you know, a cane, and he thought he might have to be in a wheelchair, and Tim had a bad knee. Anyway, it didn't happen, thank God, but it would have been fun. But anyway, we we just like to have a lot of fun at Girlfriend Weekend, and so just be prepared for anything. Get lots of rest, because you won't have any there. And if you're staying off site, I'm so sorry, because you're going to miss things, because every time you leave, you're going to have to go through the parking situation again, and you're going to have to pay again. It's better off to stay right there. Everything's there. They have restaurants, bars, shopping, walking, I'm going to park my car, and I don't plan on getting in until I go home. So, and I think the average person last time we were at a really neat hotel ate 7 of their meals at the hotel, because it was just fantastic. Anybody want the menu? They sent it to me today, so I couldn't figure out how to post it on Facebook. But if you'll email me, I'll send you the menu, and it's awesome. I mean, I can't wait to eat there. So fun times. Here we go. Any other questions? None? I can't believe it. I know people are going to start asking me the minute I get off of here, but you can't.
Well, I sent you an email about the hotel, but that's better in an email.
I'll do it. Yeah, that's fine. I'll talk to you in an email. I'll look at it. Maybe not tonight, because I'm going to have to download this. And but tomorrow I'll get you. I'll get a hold of you, Kathy, and we'll talk about it. But I did find out too, the suites which I'm in, they're all adjoining, and it's right there on the beach. They share the same pools and restaurants and gift shops, all that, bar and everything. The bars, you can get drinks and take it into the convention center. So anytime you want to go get a glass of wine or anything, just step out. Coffee. They have a Starbucks. Oh my God, I was so pumped. And the suites, you get continental breakfast, which I did not know. So and they have bigger rooms, but I'm bringing a journalist with me who's also one of our authors, Tamara Bolton, and we're caravanning in. Tracy Carnes. I've got some Louisiana Queen and King that's following me out. So we're caravanning in, leaving the 11th to arrive Thursday night, and I'll be leaving Monday. So now is the time to reach out to me. Now that I've notified everybody, and I'll be contacting. If you don't acknowledge it, I'll keep trying. But I hope everybody knows that they'll be picked. They're going to have a week during the year. They're going to be featured, and I'm hoping they'll take better track of when that is, so I don't have to constantly keep reminding. But I got me some jingle bells all the way. I and Santa Cat are headed to Dallas for Christmas. So you guys have a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating, and a very happy Reading New Year, because here we go for the biggest party of the year, Girlfriend Weekend. Thank you for joining me, and let's all end by singing Jingle Bells, okay? You ready?
Okay.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. What fun it is to ride in a one-horse sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse sleigh. Oh, well, that was the way my caroling adventures always go. So thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Talk to you all
Bye, everyone.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.